Hello and good afternoon, evening, night, whatever it is for you. I am Cale Royer with Tree Stuff. I am not Matt Stevens, who is going to be giving the webinar today. So before he gets on here, I want to talk about a couple things. Mainly, we've got a Tree Stuff party coming up in California. That is on Saturday. If you're in the Half Moon Bay area, go ahead and make sure you head out to that. You can find all the information on our Facebook events or go to treestuff.com/parties. There's also, after this, the next webinar that we have coming up is on July 11th, and that's going to be Arborjet talking about incorporating soil health and the supersonic air knife into your business. So that webinar is a lot like this one. If you watch live, you can get 2 free CEUs, and that's going to be a great one. The other one that we have to talk about is Treetopia. That is coming up August 16th and 17th, coming up real fast. It's going to be big. We've brought it back one day just because it's so much for us to do, but we're stuffing everything we can into there. We've got more games, we've got great speakers, we've got after parties. If you don't know what Treetopia is, then you can go to, oops, I almost switched it over to him prematurely. Here we go. You can go to treetopiausa.com. That is where you can find all the information about our event that we put on in conjunction with the greatest tree service in the world, A+ Tree Service. They do a lot of their events and stuff with us, and they're great people, and they love to party. They're up for anything, so please come on out to that if you can. If you can't, then I don't know, figure it out. Because it's 2 days, 16th and 17th in August, and you can get dozens of CEUs, the best training literally anywhere. It's all in gorgeous Mare Island, which is an old naval base that's been repurposed into sort of more of a residential area. Gorgeous Alden Park that we take over. We're going to have cranes. We're going to have Vermeer is there, Alltech, RDO, with all their equipment, showing those off. And then we also have free games that you can join, and you can play for prizes. There's competitions for cash, all sorts of stuff. It's a whole bunch of fun. In fact, while I talk about it a little bit, I got a little video that I can put down here. There we go, that works. And then I will move my text over to the side so you can see it better. Yeah, so this is also a family event, like it says on there. Kids are 100% welcome. They are free, I believe, under 12 years old, and there's stuff for them to do there. We have like a kids climb. We have the human claw game, which everyone can participate in and do. You win stuff every time you do it. It's very, very popular though, so get there first if you're coming. Bunches of classes, bunches of demonstrations. All of our partners are going to be there. Cask is actually, they're our main partner for the Human Claw game, and so we absolutely love them for that, because that's probably our biggest draw for any of the events that we do. So check that out, treetopiausa.com. Get your travel figured out. Tickets are very inexpensive for the whole weekend. Right now we're on an early bird special, $89.99. That gets you in for the whole time, and you can play all the games, attend all the classes, win prizes, all the after parties. We had a nighttime capture the canopy competition at one of the after parties that was really awesome last time. So I hope to see everybody there. We want to be able to keep doing this every year. So without any more further ado, the one last thing that we have is one final thing here is that our current promotion going on is you can collect up to three free silky saws when you order anything at Tree Stuff right now. So just use the coupon code SAWS, and if you spend $400 on your order, you'll get a free Zubat 270, one of the smaller guys. If you order $800, you get a Zubat 270 and a Zubat 390, which is like the bigger of the guys. And then if you spend $1,200 in one order, then you get both of those Zubats as well as a Katana Boy 650, which is like if you want to cut down a tree and be really quiet about it. It's huge. So go check that out. It's worth it. Silky saws are the best. There's not really any competition for them. So go check that out right now at Tree Stuff. That's only live until July 4th, I believe. So go check that out right now. So now, with actually no further ado, I'm going to throw it on over to our man from Cask, Matt Stevens. Matt, take it away.
Hey, good afternoon, evening, like you said, wherever you guys are. Appreciate everybody taking a little bit of time and spending a few minutes with me here this evening talking about a really important topic to the industry right now, which is rotational impact. My name is Matt Stevens. I come with 15 years of safety experience, and I'm a national account manager for Cask America. So I know it's kind of late in the day for everybody. It's a Thursday. We're getting ready to wrap the week up. So I'm not going to kill you guys with a giant PowerPoint presentation here. We'll run through some slides that'll throw some questions in there. And if you guys have any questions during the presentation, just put them in the chat and Kale will relay them to me. We'll try to get everything answered for you guys. So, our mission and our approach to rotational impact is the same that we take with everything. Our goals are to improve worker safety and performance by creating the best products in the market and being active in the standards community so that we can raise the safety of all workers and raise our knowledge of the standards as well. So I'm going to talk a little bit today about rotational impact, which has become a huge topic of conversation as more and more people are bringing different technologies to the market. So we'll talk a little bit about the background and history, the standards and testing methods, and then the CASK approach and perspective, and what's next from us. So like I talked about, we always start with employee safety. So when we talk about employer safety, what are we talking about? We're talking about, in our particular instance, traumatic brain injuries. So a TBI can be defined as a large or penetrating head injury that disrupts the normal function of the brain. So that can be anything from a little bit of dizziness or lightheadedness all the way to unconsciousness, amnesia, and even death. So today we're going to talk about a specific segment of the TBI, which is the rotational brain injuries. So a rotational brain injury is the result of a rapid change of the rotational velocity of the head caused by direct or indirect impact. This rotation causes strain on the tissue layers, which is, we call the meninges, between the skull and the brain. It's usually associated with an oblique or angled impact that exposes the brain to exceptional rotational or acceleration forces. So let's get into the background piece of this a little bit more. So, when you talk about head protection, where it is now versus where it's been, in 1919, some guys were slapping tar on their helmets or their ball caps to harden them. So when, nuts and bolts were falling on them in the shipyards, they had a little bit more protection. And then you jump all the way to 1946 and you're looking at, aluminum or metal helmets. And as we know from, vehicles in the, all the way from the 40s to the 70s, metal isn't the greatest for impact resistance. So in the 60s, uses the V-Guard, which has been a pretty standard helmet in the industry since then for the last 62 years now. And then in 2004, we came along and we've added a whole bunch of different technologies and really raised the level of the head protection piece there. And so, as you look at it, the products have begun to change, and as a part of that, the standards begin to change. So as we look at it, there, you look at 1933, that was the first job site where a hard hat was required or head protection was required. And then as you go through the years, in 69, ANSI establishes rules for testing for head protection. And then as you go along more, you get the mountaineering standards and the European standards come into play. So, the point really is that as the product is upgraded over years, so do the standards. They need to be upgraded as well. And up until this point, there's not really been a demonstrable need for rotational impact. So in 2012 is where it starts to kind of come together. There's a working group assembled by the European committees called Working Group 11. And so Cask was part of this conversation as soon as that started right in 2012. And so just as we've evolved into the standards as well in the communities that we take part in. And so when you look at what we do, we adhere to 82 different international standards, 11 of those directly for safety helmets. And we have 25 different product families that are certified, to meet different standards. So what's our perspective on the rotational impact piece? Well, when you look at it, you look at all of these different standards. You've got your European standards, your American standards, Canadian, Australian, New Zealand. None of these standards have rotational impact requirements. And so they can agree on a lot of things on, how big the anvil should be or what angle the anvil should be at. But the one consistency out of all of these is that they all lack a rotational impact piece. So without there being standards, the data isn't clear. So there's a lot of companies talking about their piece in this, but rotational impact alone does not make a helmet safe. So the fact that there's a lack of that there's inconsistent data, a lack of peer review, it's not just one thing. There's no magic ingredient. There's a whole bunch of different pieces that go into this. So where does that leave us? This is an issue. Since the 40s, it's been known that rotational motion is a mechanism for brain injury. And so across all 7 continents where our products are worn, until recently, there was no standard by any regulatory agency about rotational impact. So, if you look at cycling, equestrian, motorsports, field sports, industrial, all of them, none of them have had a regulatory agency on rotational impact. So this is a massive thing here that nobody can really get all their hands around until recently. So in 2020, the European Motorcycle Standard, the ECE 2206, was updated and went into effect. So this standard contains a specific test criteria for oblique impacts, and today is the only standard that specifies rotational impact testing method and criteria. So as we look at this, this isn't the only place we've gathered perspective from. So we've got the ECE. We've got the Working Group 11 that has had over 100 papers written, and all of these different pieces they align on only one thing, which is the 45-degree angle abrasive covered anvil. So they can't get their hands around all the different aspects to create an actual standard. So they've met numerous times over this. They've never been able to get all the way to the end on the standard piece. So when you look at it, working groups aren't rare. There's a working group for a lot of these different pieces. You look at our industrial safety helmets, firefighter helmets, cyclists, horse riders, the different head forms and testing methods with the WG11, snow activities other than skiing, mountaineering, and obviously the ANSI standards. And the knowledge base around rotational impact with CASK comes from numerous areas. This base is what gives the CASK approach merit. So, we look at what we get involved in with the WG11. We adhere to 59 different helmet safety standards and involved with developing standards in multiple of these areas. We followed very closely the development of the ECE 2206 motorcycle helmet safety standard. And, we review a lot of different scientific papers from different areas. We don't just get all of our information from one place. We're looking in every corner that we can find. So what's our approach to this whole piece? We do what is called the CASK Rotational Impact WG11 test. Now, as we looked at this and through multiple testing methods, we've adopted the most reliable and proven and strictest criteria for our oblique testing methods. So we we established the most rigorous criteria and utilized motorcycle testing methodology established by the ECE 2206. So we start with the EN 960 head form. We load it with a wireless triaxial accelerometer, and then it's dropped at 4.5 meters per second on a 45-degree angle that is covered in an 80 grit abrasive oxide substance. And so what we're looking for there is to have a brick level of less than 0.68. And I'll explain what the brick level is going. I won't leave you hanging there. So the brick, or the brain injury criteria, it's a formula that defines the level of brain injury. So the lower numbers correspond to lower risk of injury, obviously. So the standard that the ECE 2206 set was for their pass-fail is 0.78. And we've tested everything in our category to 0.68. So this is a little bit more in line with the recent research recommendations. So when we talk about the EN 960 head form, so we always use the EN 960 head form for impact testing. It's required by industrial safety, cycling, equestrian, ski, and is specified in the ECE 2206 motorcycle standard. It's considered the most accurate representation of human biology. So there's some other stuff that's been going on where people have been using the hybrid 3 head form. It's got a significantly higher coefficient of friction. So I think when they're doing the testing on it, it creates more drag on the head. And it artificially exaggerates the contribution of rotational impact. So it's not just basically a crash test dummy. It actually is a crash test dummy. So then we take the 3-axis wireless accelerometer. It tests for X, Y, and Z axes. And what we use a wireless because the cord can obviously add issues for the testing as well. So that's all done wirelessly. The impact speed, it's 4.5 meters a second, based on, what the research has shown to be the best testing there. A ton of research has gone into that. And then the 45-degree anvil, and as you guys remember, that's the one that I said that everybody can agree on, the only thing that everybody can agree on. And it's basically directly in line with the ECE 2206 motorcycle standard. So just to kind of recap there, we're using an EN 960 head form, which is used in all these other areas, with the friction coefficient of 0.3. We use the triaxial or the wireless triaxial accelerometer at a 4.5 meters a second on a 45-degree angle with 80 grit oxide, and the pass level is 0.68 brick. And this is a huge point here. Since 2019, Cask has used the CASK Rotational Impact WG11 test on every single product that we put out. and every one of our helmets are at 0.039 brick. So this isn't something that's new to us. We're not introducing this. This is something that, as it's become more of a conversation and other people are bringing it up, we go, oh, well, we've been doing that, so let's just talk about how we do what we do. And so what's next is you'll see on most of our products, from cycling, equestrian, all of those pieces, you'll see the Cask rotational impact WG11 tag. It'll be specified on all of our helmets with some more information there. And so just to kind of wrap this up, like I said, keep it real short. We know that rotational impact is a huge piece. It's very important, but we've known it for a long time, and we've been involved in these standards. And so what's made it important to us and what gives us, the ability to put this tag on our helmets is the years and years and years of research and the various places that we pull it from. And so with that, I just want to kind of wrap up the slide piece of this. And if there's any questions, I'm sure there'll be plenty. I'm happy to take some.
All right. I've got a couple of questions here. I've got a question myself. So can you talk a little bit about how you go about actually engineering to reduce the rotational impact on the helmets and actually get to that, whatever the numbers were again for the brick?
Yeah. So, I mean, really, that's in the holistic approach that we take. So it's not just one piece of our product that creates that brick score. It's the materials we use for the shell of the helmet. It's the EPS foam that we use on the inside. It's the way that our retention system is designed to spread impact throughout the helmet instead of let it be focused in any one area. And so really it's not just one piece, it's the entirety of how we assemble and build and design our helmets.
Okay. I've got Adam Snelson here asking if you can explain what the brick numbers mean and what that's actually a measurement of.
Yeah, let me go back to that slide, if I can find it. Sorry, I told Kale here earlier that I am blind in one of my eyes, so I'm working off a very small screen. Oh, jeez. Sorry, guys. This thing's jumping around. Sorry.
I think you had it a couple slides ago. Is that what you're looking for? You've got
That's
the European Motorcycle Standard?
No. I'm so sorry, guys. Oh my goodness.
Was the blindness out of one eye caused by rotational brain injury?
No, it was not. It was caused by poor eating decisions over many years.
Oh, okay. I got you.
There it is. Apologies.
All right.
So the brain injury criteria. So what that is they it's an algorithm that they use based on all of these pieces that I talked about as far as the different areas that we go through in the testing piece. So they basically take all of these pieces, and they use these to create an algorithm for that brick score. And so, which is really where the motorcycle standard really got into the testing piece there.
So you're recording your like the deceleration as well as the rotational speed in which axis on this, and then that gets put into a formula, and that gives you a number where lower is better.
Yes.
Okay.
And so like a big piece of that is your friction coefficient. So that's why they add the 80 grit oxide onto the anvil,
Mm-hmm.
because it creates a realistic, um, so if you fall and hit concrete, it has that grit to make the instance more realistic.
Okay. Then that, yeah, turns the head as it's going, uh,
Correct.
because it's hitting that 45-degree angle there. Um,
Yep.
you were talking about some of the different numbers. I've got Phil Osborne here asking how the EN 960 compares to the SNELL, or the Snell certifications that they use for um, a lot of motorcycle helmets.
Um, that's one I might have to get information on because I'm not familiar with that one in particular. I know that the what we use and what a lot of the ECE 2206. I know that's what they're particularly using is the EN 960. But the Snell one, I'm not super familiar with.
Okay.
So I'll if you can have him put his email in, I'll do some research and get him an
There
answer.
you go. Yeah, Phil, if you put your email in, or if you actually send your email to Kale at Treestuff, CALE at treestuff.com, I can get you um, in contact with Matt Stevens here. Let's see what else we got. Um, uh, is so the brick? Brian's asking if you know the brick for Protos. Um, I'm going to assume you don't, but is this a
No.
testing um, that is done with other helmets, other similar helmets?
Um, you know what, I don't. I can only speak to what we do testing on,
Mm-hmm.
and so I know that um, some other brands use, like I said, the that hybrid three head form, and that's what they're basing their brick scores off of. But I can really only speak to what we do.
Okay. What was the difference between the ECE 2206 and the EN 960? What was that?
So, okay, yeah. So the ECE 2206 is the motorcycle standard for testing,
Mm-hmm.
and they use the EN 960 head form in their testing.
Ah, gotcha. Okay.
Yeah.
All
So
right.
then the EN 960 is a type of head form, and it's like I said, it basically is the head form that tests closest to human biology.
Okay. Um, and then the other one that I have here is if you could go back to the helmets, um, just kind of looking at the different helmets that we've had over the years and when they were
Oh yeah,
introduced, like the V Guard and the Super Plasma and things like that.
yeah. There it is.
Uh, yeah, that one. There we go. So MSA introduces the V Guard hard hat. Is that um, is that notable just because of the materials, or is there a design there that?
It's absolutely materials. So what they learned from testing from car crashes, things like this, is that the harder the material is doesn't necessarily make it safer or more protective. In fact, it could be a little more dangerous. So that's why they went away from the metal hard hats.
Mm-hmm.
And so really, you put softer materials, they absorb impact significantly better. And so that's why with our helmets we use high density polypropylene, which is it's a rigid material, but it's when it takes an impact, it does a really good job of transferring energy around itself, not necessarily into the object.
Gotcha. And how many other certifications just generally are there on Cask helmets?
So let's go back to that slide. So just I'll sneak back to this slide too. This shows the global standards. So this is all the different standards that are out there, and this doesn't list like clauses, and there's that hundreds and hundreds of clauses and pieces to all these. This is just what they're named.
So these are the 10 safety global standards, the regular ones.
And yeah, these are what are globally recognized.
And then there's also the ECE rotational that Cask helmets are also adhere to. Is that correct?
So no. So we take testing from the ECE 2206, and so our helmets. What our test is the Cask rotational impact WG11 testing, and so that's our standard that we've set for ourselves.
Okay, gotcha. So how many global standards do Cask helmets adhere to?
So depending on where you are, so we adhere to the EN 12492 European standards for mountaineering and climbing. We adhere to the ANSI Type 1, and we also offer a ANSI Type 2 helmet. Now, both of those still have the EN 12492 clauses, because we believe that because the EN 12492 makes the chin strap a permanent fixture to the helmet, that it makes it better, because the ANSI Type 2 doesn't make the chin strap a requirement. And so that's why we use the EN standards. We think they're the most stringent and best, but we also have to obviously add the ANSI standards when we're selling U.S. helmets.
Okay. Gotcha. Well, thank you much for doing this. Unless somebody pops in here with a final question, I think we're gonna let you go.
Cool. And then
yeah,
you're more than welcome to throw my email in there, and if anybody has questions, they can email me directly, and I'll try to answer them as best I can. And fortunately, I do work with people who have many more years of experience than I do in the head protection industry, so I can definitely get answers to basically any question pertaining to the topic.
Great. And I don't know if I said it beforehand, but if you are watching to get CEUs, I just posted a comment in the comment section that will take you to a little quiz. If you get 16 out of 20 right on that quiz, then we will submit your CEUs to the ISA for you, and that will get you 2 CEUs if you're watching right now. In 2 days, that'll change, and it'll only be worth 1 CEU if you're watching this recording, but that will be on our Facebook page and our YouTube page forever. And and make sure that you check out our backlog of other great webinars that we have as well. So with that, thank you very much, Matt. Is there anything else you would like to hit on before we get out of here?
No, you brought up the tree stuff. Obviously, we love sponsoring the claw game. We'll look forward to seeing everybody out there again this year.
Yep, that's great.
Come get most likely you'll get a free Cask helmet if you participate.
Yeah.
So.
All right.
Cool.
Actually, wait, we've got one more question here. MIPS, how does that relate to the rotational impact of mitigation systems, I guess, in Cask helmets?
So we MIPS is a completely different system for a helmet, and so again, really, I can't speak to what they do, but I can say that what they use versus what we use is we use an EPS crush foam, and what they use is a completely different set of technology that I'll let them kind of do their own thing on, but everything that we test on indicates that the brick scores and the products and development that we use, there's no improvement in performance or difference in performance than anything else that's in the market.
Interesting. Okay. Great. All right. Well, thank
That's
you.
that's as delicately as I can say things.
Okay.
So,
Well, we'll gossip about that
okay.
more later on. All right.
Very good.
Thank you for doing this, and I will see you
Absolutely.
at Treetopia,
Thanks, everybody.
treetopiausa.com. Bye.